In our first reading, we talk about the case of Nabsny and Podlesny. Um, Within this case, is very bothersome because an individual, um, due to his sexual orientation, I feel like had been discriminated against. Um, Within this uh, suit, it happened throughout middle school and high school, and everybody kind of turned basically a deaf ear to the case. Um, Within this, Nabsny filed suit against numerous school officials, which violated his 14th Amendment right to equal protection by discrimination against him based on his gender, his sexual orientation, his right to due process by exacerbating the risk that he would be harmed by fellow students, and the right to due process by encouraging an environment in which he would be harmed. I just met with a student the other day about him enrolling at our school from another school with his aunt, and I looked on the previous discipline record at his former school, and it stated that he had brought a knife to school. And whenever this occurred in the office, I asked him, why did you feel the need to bring a knife to school? Just out of curiosity. I don't want you to feel like you need to do that here at our school. Um, and he said that he brought a knife to school basically to protect himself. He expressed to me that he was gay, and that he brought it to school because students on the football team had threatened him, and he was worried about his safety. Um, with this, case, I expressed to him that if he feels threatened or picked on, or if he has any inclination where he might feel that something isn't right, to reach out to administrators such as myself. Um, Also, reach out to any staff member, any custodian at our school. We want to make sure every child is treated equally, and we want to make sure every child is safe, because if people aren't feeling that they are safe, then they're not going to learn. So that correlates with the actual learning piece, that we want every child to obtain the best um, possible educational experience that they can have at J.H. Rose High School. So basically, that happened, and I was off campus at a later time the next week, and evidently another student um, and him got into a verbal argument, and she called him a name, and he didn't like it, and they wound up physically fighting over the scenario. And it was unfortunate that he had to get suspended over that, but I told him that if he had anybody say anything to him, such as a demeaning comment, or if he was picked on, to let someone know. So at that point, he took it kind of out of our hands by basically fighting over a situation that could have been resolved, as far as if he would have let an administrator or staff member or custodian know that there was an issue actually occurring at the time. The next scenario, or the next case we read about, is Bryant versus New York. It talks about special education, and this is one of the biggest pieces within public schools, and is very large at our school. We have the largest exceptional children's population in the high schools of Pitt County at J.H. Rose. It discusses individualized education program. It talks about individuals with disabilities education act, free and appropriate education. Within this, we as administrators need to make sure that when we're serving as the LEA representative within the IEP meetings, that we are doing everything possible to meet the needs of those children in the special education classes. As an administrator, we serve as the local education agency representative for all IEP meetings. And within this role, we determine basically the accommodations that each child is provided, making sure that everything is in place to help that student become as successful as possible. Um, this is very important not only to meet the needs of children, but we are living in a very litigious society, so it is imperative that we follow the IEP and make adjustments to help benefit the students whenever possible. Within this piece, I learned that there were rule-based plans, and that's something I was not aware of, being new to administration. and and within this, the rule-based plans, this denies the parent to participate in their child's education. So that's really kind of puzzling to me that there was ever anything in place that didn't involve the parents. It's very important that we make sure all parties of the IEP are heard, whether it's teachers, the students, the parents, or the administrators. We all have valuable insights to help students be successful. And it's very important that students are within the IEP, their voice needs to be heard as well, because a lot of times those accommodations are benefiting them, and they, might know just as much as we do about the services that they possibly need or that will benefit them. The next one was cyberbullying. When we read about Riley and California, the court case that determined numerous students basically over cell phone issues. This was and is a major incident in schools today because social media plays a big part of school related incidents, and whether it's Instagram or it's Facebook or it's kick messaging, students often have disagreements within the school and within the community that they live in. It often happens that basically maybe 3 out of 4 times a month we deal with issues such as the cyberbullying. They will often have to do with sexuality issues, people that are dating or possibly past relationships, and they also deal with individuals that just want to be a bully or want to use demeaning remarks towards another student, whether it's someone that they might feel that is not part of the in crowd, or someone that is kind of deemed as someone that really won't say anything back to them, that they can make themselves feel powerful by belittling someone. Like I said, this is much more of a rampant part of society due to the cellular devices that are easily accessible throughout the day within schools and out in the community. They use those devices to participate in cyberbullying events. Oftentimes, if it's happening in a community, it's one of those things where a parent will come in and there's issues that we can't do anything about other than kind of monitor it because it is happening in the community, and so we get our school resource officers to look into it and possibly make a positive impact on students, just kind of letting them know the legal terms as far as the unacceptable cyberbullying as far as in the community, and how people can press charges at any time if need be. Another piece was, as we read in the Nathan Essex article, Bullying and School Liability Implications for School Personnel. It talks about bullying within schools. According to the American Psychological Association, bullies are described as impulsive, easily frustrated, dominant, in personality and have difficulty conforming to rules. I had a student the other day that come into my office um, about a bullying incident, and the students were in a disagreement. That was a verbal issue. And one student made a demeaning remark as far as the other student being in a foster home. At that moment, I had to investigate as an administrator. I had to administer consequences once the investigation was over. And I also had to help build the student's confidence back up that was belittled by the other student. It was a very hard process, and to build that student's confidence back up once it's tore down, because a lot of times it's not just a one-on-one incident. It's actually in a classroom around a lot of peers, and so it takes a lot to actually get that person's confidence back up, just because of the issue with other students hearing it as well, and the lingering effects of other students that are going to piggyback on the demeaning comment. Once again, it's a real shame that we have bullies within school, whether it be cyberbullying or just picking on someone that they might feel is a weak target, or someone that their sexual orientation is not as of the majority of their peers. And it's our job as administrators to make sure everyone feels safe. No one feels that they are miserable when they come to school, and we just need to do everything in our power to make sure that the IEPs are benefiting students at all times, and make adjustments to those when allowed to benefit the students' educational needs. And it would be awesome to see the bullying incidents and the cyberbullying incidents and all the demeaning comments, just kind of cease. And, it's an ongoing process that we deal with on a daily basis in all educational settings, but a lot of the times it does happen in high schools just because of the cellular devices. And so I know at JH Rose, we are open ears to every student that, is getting picked on or has any concerns. We just want to maximize the learning potential out of every student and give students the optimal education at JH Rose High School. Within this, it's one of those things